Anjik's Instant Garden Makeover Top 7 Fast-Growing Ground Cover to Transform Your Yard. Picture this. You walk out into your yard and instead of looking at bare patches of dirt, stubborn weeds, or that frustrating stretch of ground where nothing seems to want to grow, you see a lush, living carpet of green spreading out in every direction. Thick, beautiful, low-growing plants filling every gap, covering every problem area, and transforming your yard into something that looks like it belongs in a gardening magazine. And the best part? You didn't spend a fortune on landscaping. You didn't haul in endless bags of mulch. You simply planted the right ground covers and let nature do the heavy lifting for you. That is exactly what today's video is all about. We are counting down the top 7 fast-growing ground covers that will completely transform your yard, covering bare soil, smothering weeds, solving erosion problems, filling shady spots, and creating that lush, finished, intentional look that takes a yard from ordinary to extraordinary. These are the plants that professional landscapers use when they need results fast, and today we are sharing every single one of them with you. But before we get into this incredible list, if you are new to our channel, we are so glad you found us. We post gardening content regularly, and we would love to have you as part of our community. Please hit that subscribe button right now and tap that bell icon so you never miss a video. And if today's content helps you out, please give it a like. It truly helps our channel grow and reach more gardeners just like you. We appreciate every single one of you more than you know. Now let's get into it. Brief problem setup / why the topic matters. Every yard has problem areas. It's just a fact of gardening life. Maybe it's that shady strip under the trees where grass refuses to grow no matter what you do. Maybe it's a steep slope that erodes every time it rains, washing soil down onto your pathway. Maybe it's a large open area of bare soil that seems to attract weeds like a magnet, demanding constant pulling and mulching that never quite solves the problem permanently. Or maybe it's simply a large expanse of lawn that you are tired of mowing week after week, season after season. These are the exact problems that ground cover plants were born to solve. A ground cover is any low-growing plant that spreads to cover the soil surface, and the best ones do this quickly, densely, and beautifully. They outcompete weeds by blocking the light that weed seeds need to germinate. They hold soil in place on slopes and prevent erosion. They thrive in conditions where grass and other plants struggle: deep shade, dry soil, rocky ground. They eliminate the need for mulching in the areas they cover. And they add genuine beauty, color, texture, flower, and foliage interest to areas that might otherwise be bare and uninspiring. The 7 ground covers we are covering today have been selected because they are not just good, they are fast. These are plants that establish quickly, spread purposefully, and begin transforming your yard in a single growing season. Some of them will cover remarkable ground in just their first year. Others establish slightly more slowly, but then spread with wonderful determination in subsequent seasons. All of them are genuine garden transformers. Let's meet them. List item number 1. Creeping Phlox, Phlox subulata. Our first ground cover is Creeping Phlox, and if you want a ground cover that combines fast, reliable spreading with one of the most spectacular spring flower displays available anywhere in the plant world, this is the one. Creeping Phlox is a low-growing, mat-forming perennial that hugs the ground tightly, rarely exceeding 6 inches in height, and spreads steadily outward to cover large areas of soil with a dense carpet of fine, needle-like evergreen foliage. It is the spring flower display, however, that truly sets it apart. In mid to late spring, the entire plant disappears under an absolute blanket of small, 5-petaled flowers in shades of bright pink, deep magenta, soft lavender, white, and bicolor combinations. The effect is so dense and so vibrant that it looks almost unreal, like someone has laid a brightly colored quilt across your garden. How fast does it spread? Creeping Phlox spreads at a moderate to fast pace, typically 6 to 12 inches of new spread per year once established. While it won't cover an entire yard in a single season, it fills in consistently and reliably, and within 2 to 3 years, a single plant can cover a substantial area. For faster coverage, plant multiple plants 12 to 18 inches apart, and they will knit together into a seamless carpet within a season or two. Where it excels. Creeping Phlox is particularly outstanding on slopes and banks. Its spreading root system holds soil tenaciously, making it one of the best erosion control plants available. It cascades beautifully over walls and raised bed edges, creating soft, flowing curtains of color in spring. It is also excellent along pathways, as a lawn substitute in sunny areas, and for covering the bare soil under spring flowering trees and shrubs where it will bloom simultaneously for a breathtaking layered effect. Sun and soil. Creeping phlox thrives in full sun to light shade and is very adaptable to soil types as long as drainage is good. It is moderately drought tolerant once established and handles lean, rocky, or sandy soils with ease. It actually performs less well in rich, heavily amended soils. Lean and well-drained suits it perfectly. Maintenance. After the spring bloom period ends, give the plants a light trim, cutting back by about a third to keep them compact and encourage fresh, dense new growth. This simple post-bloom haircut is essentially the only maintenance creeping phlox requires. No deadheading, no regular watering once established, no dividing needed for many years. It is as close to plant and forget as a flowering ground cover gets. Bottom line on creeping phlox: a spectacular spring flower display, reliable spreading habit, excellent erosion control on slopes, evergreen foliage for year-round coverage, and almost zero maintenance needs. Creeping phlox is one of the most rewarding and beautiful ground covers available and an outstanding choice for transforming sunny slopes, banks, and border edges. List item number 2. Creeping Jenny, Lysimachia numularia. Ground cover number 2 is Creeping Jenny, and this is the plant to reach for when you need fast, lush, ground-covering growth in conditions that range from full sun all the way to fairly deep shade. Creeping Jenny is a fast-spreading, prostrate perennial with small, rounded leaves on long, trailing stems that root wherever they touch the soil. It is one of the fastest ground covers available in ideal conditions. It can spread several feet in a single growing season, and it creates a dense, weed-suppressing carpet with remarkable speed. The golden-leaved variety, aurea, is particularly popular and brings a bright, cheerful chartreuse gold color to the garden that lights up shady areas and creates beautiful contrast against darker foliage plants. Growth and spreading habit. This is where Creeping Jenny's credentials as a fast transformer really shine. It is genuinely fast. Once it settles in, it sends out long, rooting stems in every direction, filling gaps and covering soil at a pace that is very satisfying to watch. It is the kind of plant where you can almost see it moving if you visit your garden regularly. In moist conditions with reasonable light, the coverage it provides in a single growing season is impressive. One important note: in some regions, Creeping Jenny can spread aggressively enough to become invasive outside of garden areas, particularly in wet conditions near natural water bodies. It is always worth checking whether it is considered invasive in your specific region before planting, and being mindful of planting it where it cannot escape into natural areas. Where it excels, Creeping Jenny is outstanding for filling shady, moist areas where many other ground covers struggle. Under deciduous trees and shrubs, along the edges of ponds or water features, in damp, low-lying areas of the garden, these are its natural habitats, and it thrives in them. The golden aurea variety is particularly valuable for illuminating dark, shaded spots with its bright, glowing color. It also works beautifully spilling over the edges of raised beds, containers, and retaining walls, cascading downward in long, trailing stems. Sun and moisture. Creeping Jenny adapts to full sun through to moderate shade. In full sun, it tends to stay more compact, and the golden variety holds its brightest color. In shade, it grows more vigorously, but the color may be slightly less intense. It prefers consistently moist soil and performs best with reliable moisture. It is one of the few fast ground covers that actually appreciates rather than tolerates regular watering. Bottom line on Creeping Jenny: fast spreading, adaptable to shade and moisture, brilliantly colored in the aurea form, and excellent for filling difficult damp or shady areas quickly. Creeping Jenny brings speed and cheerful golden color to garden transformation projects where other ground covers simply cannot compete. List item number 3. Vinca minor, periwinkle. Number 3 is Vinca minor, commonly known as periwinkle, and this is one of the most widely used and reliably effective ground covers in the world for very good reason. Vinca minor is an evergreen, trailing ground cover that spreads by sending out long stems that root at their nodes wherever they touch the soil. It forms a dense, weed-suppressing carpet of small, glossy, dark green leaves that remains attractive and green all year round, even through winter in most climates. In spring, it produces charming small flowers in periwinkle blue, that distinctive, beautiful, soft, blue-violet color that it lends its name to, covering the entire planting with a haze of delicate blooms. White and deep purple flowering varieties are also available. Speed and coverage. Vinca minor spreads at a moderate to fast pace, not quite as explosively fast as creeping Jenny, but very reliable and consistent. Once established, it spreads steadily outward through its rooting stems, filling in gaps and building up a progressively thicker, denser carpet over time. Within 2 to 3 years of planting, a good-sized drift of vinca can be covering remarkably large areas and providing extremely effective weed suppression. Where it truly excels, vinca minor is arguably the best ground cover available for dense shade under trees, including under conifers and other trees, where dry shade makes growing conditions particularly challenging. It handles dry shade far better than most ground covers, making it invaluable for those difficult areas under established trees where almost nothing else will grow. It is also widely used on slopes and banks for erosion control, along fence lines, and for filling large open areas in shrub borders where bare soil would otherwise require constant mulching. Caution: it is worth noting that in some parts of North America, vinca minor is considered invasive and can escape into woodland areas and natural habitats. Check its status in your region before planting, particularly if your garden borders woodland or natural areas. In areas where it is problematic, consider one of the other options on our list instead. Maintenance. Vinca minor is extremely low maintenance. It requires virtually no watering once established, no feeding, and minimal pruning. An occasional shearing or mowing to keep it tidy and encourage fresh new growth is all it needs. It is one of the most self-sufficient ground covers available. Bottom line on vinca minor: evergreen coverage, beautiful spring flowers, outstanding performance in dry shade under trees, reliable spreading habit, and almost zero maintenance requirements. Vinca minor is a proven, time-tested garden workhorse that solves some of the toughest ground covering challenges in any yard. List item number 4. Ajuga bugleweed. Number 4 on our list is ajuga, commonly known as bugleweed, and this is the ground cover that brings not just coverage and weed suppression, but genuine, dramatic foliage beauty to the equation. Ajuga is a low-growing, spreading perennial that forms dense rosettes of leaves close to the ground, spreading by sending out runners called stolons that root and produce new plants. It is a fast spreader that can cover ground quickly and effectively, but what makes it truly stand out in the ground cover world is the extraordinary range of foliage colors and textures available. Where most ground covers offer straightforward green coverage, ajuga offers a whole palette of foliage drama. Foliage varieties. Burgundy Glow features leaves in a stunning tricolor combination of burgundy, cream, and green, one of the most striking foliage effects available in any low-growing plant. Black Scallop offers incredibly dark, almost black-purple, scallop-edged leaves that create a bold, dramatic carpet of deep color. Catlin's Giant produces unusually large, bronze-green leaves and is one of the most vigorous spreading varieties available. Rainbow offers green, white, pink, and burgundy variegation in a softer, more pastel combination. There is truly an ajuga variety for every garden style and color preference. Spring flowers. In addition to its exceptional foliage, ajuga produces upright spikes of small blue, purple, or occasionally white or pink flowers in mid to late spring. These flower spikes emerge above the foliage carpet and create a beautiful additional layer of color and interest. The blue flowering forms in particular are very attractive and contrast beautifully against the darker foliage varieties. Where ajuga excels, ajuga is particularly valuable in partial to full shade conditions where its foliage colors remain rich and beautiful. Under trees and shrubs, along shaded pathways, on north-facing slopes, these are where ajuga really performs. It handles dry shade reasonably well once established and is one of the better options for the challenging conditions found under mature deciduous trees. It is also excellent for edging garden beds. As a carpet beneath spring bulbs, the foliage emerges just as bulb blooms are fading, providing a beautiful seamless transition, and for filling gaps between stepping stones or in gravel gardens where a low, spreading plant is needed. One caution: ajuga can spread aggressively in ideal conditions moist soil with reasonable light, and can occasionally spread into lawn areas where it can be difficult to remove. Keep this in mind when siting your planting, particularly if you have lawn adjacent to the area you want to cover. Bottom line on ajuga: fast spreading, extraordinary foliage color and variety, beautiful spring flowers, excellent performance in shade, and very low maintenance. Ajuga transforms not just bare ground but the entire visual character of shaded garden areas, adding a richness of color and texture that few other ground covers can match. List item number 5. Clover, white clover. Number 5 is white clover, and yes, clover absolutely deserves its place on this list, because the gardening world's attitude toward clover has undergone a complete and very justified revolution in recent years. For decades, clover was considered a lawn weed, something to be eradicated and prevented at all costs. Today, an increasing number of gardeners and homeowners are deliberately planting clover as a lawn substitute or ground cover, and for very compelling reasons. White clover Trifolium repens is a fast-spreading, low-growing perennial that creates a dense, soft, lush green carpet with almost no inputs whatsoever. It is drought-tolerant, requires no fertilizing, tolerates foot traffic, stays green through summer heat when grass browns out, and produces a continuous supply of white flowers that are among the most important nectar sources available for bees and pollinators. How fast it spreads! White clover spreads through both stolons and self-seeding, and it does both with great enthusiasm. In favorable conditions, it can cover bare ground quickly within a single growing season. A seeded area of white clover can become a full, dense carpet. It also fills in gaps and bare patches in existing plantings surprisingly fast. Why it is a game changer. Here is what makes white clover genuinely revolutionary as a ground cover. It fixes its own nitrogen from the atmosphere through root bacteria, meaning it actually fertilizes itself and the soil around it, rather than depleting nutrients the way grass does. It requires no supplemental fertilizing whatsoever. It stays lush and green during summer dry spells that turn grass lawns brown. It needs mowing far less frequently than grass, or not at all, if you prefer a more naturalistic look. And those white flowers produced continuously through summer are absolutely critical habitat for bees, which are under severe population pressure in many areas. Practical use. White clover works beautifully as a full lawn substitute, as a filler in wild or naturalistic garden areas, between stepping stones, or mixed with grass seed for a low-input lawn blend. It tolerates moderate foot traffic well. The flowers, while beautiful, do attract bees, which is a wonderful ecological positive but worth being aware of if you have family members with bee allergies or if the area receives heavy barefoot foot traffic. Bottom line on white clover: fast establishing, self-fertilizing, drought-tolerant, zero feeding required, beautiful pollinator flowers, and genuinely transformative for large areas of bare ground. White clover is the low-maintenance, ecologically valuable ground cover that every modern yard should consider. List item number 6. Pachysandra, Japanese spurge. Number 6 is Pachysandra terminalis, commonly known as Japanese spurge, and this is the ground cover that solves one of the most common and frustrating garden challenges of all: deep, dry shade under established trees where almost nothing else will grow. Pachysandra is an evergreen, low-growing perennial ground cover that spreads slowly but very steadily through underground rhizomes, gradually building a thick, lush carpet of glossy, dark green, whorled foliage that remains attractive and fresh-looking throughout the entire year. It is shade-tolerant to a degree that is genuinely remarkable. It actually prefers full to partial shade and will struggle in full sun, which makes it uniquely valuable for those challenging dark garden spots. Growth and spreading. Pachysandra is not the fastest ground cover on today's list. It spreads more slowly than creeping jenny or vinca, but it is steadily and reliably expansive. In its first year, it focuses on root establishment, and in subsequent years, it begins spreading more noticeably. Within 3 to 4 years of planting, a well-established Pachysandra planting fills in beautifully and becomes genuinely thick and weed-suppressing. For faster coverage, plant more densely spacing plants 6 to 8 inches apart rather than the standard 12 inches will give you a solid carpet significantly sooner. Why it is irreplaceable. There are simply some places in the garden under large evergreen trees with dense canopies, in deep north-facing shade, in areas of dry summer shade under matured deciduous trees where the options for ground covers are extremely limited. Pachysandra genuinely thrives in these conditions. Its glossy evergreen foliage brings life and lushness to spots that would otherwise be bare dirt or struggling, patchy grass. It is also one of the most weed-suppressing ground covers available. Once established, the density of its coverage leaves virtually no room or light for weeds to gain a foothold. Spring flowers. In early spring, Pachysandra produces small, white, lightly fragrant flower spikes just above the foliage, a delicate and charming bonus on top of its primary role as a foliage ground cover. The flowers are subtle rather than showy, but they add a pleasant seasonal detail to what is primarily a foliage plant. Varieties. The standard species has solid, dark green leaves, but Silver Edge, also called variegata, offers leaves edged with a crisp white margin that brightens shaded areas beautifully and adds a slightly more decorative quality to the planting. Maintenance. Pachysandra is essentially maintenance-free once established. It requires no deadheading, no pruning, and no regular watering in shaded conditions where soil moisture tends to be more consistent. An occasional light trim in early spring to remove any winter-damaged foliage is all it needs. Feed with a slow-release fertilizer in spring to encourage vigorous spreading in the establishment years, and then largely leave it alone. Bottom line on Pachysandra: the definitive solution for deep, dry shade under trees, beautifully evergreen, steadily spreading, low maintenance, and genuinely effective at weed suppression once established. Pachysandra may spread more slowly than some of today's other options, but in the right conditions it is irreplaceable and delivers a beautiful, enduring result. List item number 7. Creeping thyme, Thymus serpillum. And our 7th and final ground cover, and possibly the most delightful, fragrant, and multifunctional one on the entire list, is creeping thyme. Creeping thyme is a low-growing, spreading, woody perennial that forms a dense, flat carpet of tiny, aromatic leaves rarely exceeding 3 inches in height. It spreads steadily outward each season, rooting as it goes and gradually knitting together into a tight, fragrant mat that is simultaneously one of the toughest and most beautiful ground covers available. In late spring to early summer, it erupts into a breathtaking display of tiny flowers, typically in shades of pink, magenta, lavender, or white, depending on the variety, that cover the entire plant so completely that the foliage almost disappears beneath the blooms. The fragrance factor. This is what makes creeping thyme truly unique among ground covers. The foliage is richly aromatic with that classic thyme fragrance, herbal, warm, Mediterranean, and this fragrance is released every time the plant is touched, walked on, or simply warmed by the sun. Plant it between stepping stones in a front path, along the edges of a garden walkway, or in the cracks of a patio, and every time someone walks through it or brushes past it, that beautiful fragrance drifts upward. It is one of the most sensory and atmospheric experiences a garden can offer, and it makes creeping thyme one of the most loved and sought-after ground covers available. Growth and spreading. Creeping thyme spreads at a moderate pace similar to creeping phlox, typically adding 6 to 12 inches of spread per year. It is not the fastest ground cover on today's list, but it is very consistent, and its durability and longevity more than compensate for its moderate pace. It establishes quickly in its first season and then spreads steadily and reliably in subsequent years. Where it excels. Creeping thyme is perfect for sunny, dry, well-drained situations. It evolved in Mediterranean climates and thrives in exactly the conditions that challenge many other plants. Between stepping stones and paving slabs, it is absolutely outstanding. It handles light to moderate foot traffic without complaint, releases its fragrance when walked on, and fills those gaps with a beauty that makes any pathway look completely transformed. It is also excellent on dry slopes and banks, in rock gardens, along sunny path edges, and as a lawn substitute in areas with full sun and well-drained soil. It is one of the most drought-tolerant ground covers available. Once established, it can survive on remarkably little water, making it an outstanding choice for hot, dry garden areas and water-wise garden designs. Wildlife value. The flowers of creeping thyme are outstanding pollinator plants. Bees in particular are absolutely drawn to the blooms, and a patch of creeping thyme in full flower can be buzzing with bee activity throughout the day. It is also deer-resistant and largely free from pests and diseases. Culinary bonus. As a true thyme, creeping thyme is technically edible and aromatic in the same way as culinary thyme, though the flavor is milder and the leaves are very small. Some varieties are more flavorful than others, but having a fragrant, edible ground cover spreading through your garden is a rather wonderful bonus that no other plant on today's list can offer. Maintenance. Creeping thyme is extremely low maintenance. After the spring flower display, a light trim to remove spent flowers keeps the plants neat and encourages fresh new growth. Beyond that, it requires virtually nothing, no regular watering once established, no feeding, no dividing. It is one of the easiest, most self-sufficient ground covers you can grow. Varieties to look for. Magic Carpet is one of the most popular and widely available varieties, producing a brilliant display of bright pink flowers and very vigorous, dense growth. Elfin is an extremely compact, fine-textured variety perfect for between stepping stones. White Creeping Thyme offers pure white flowers for a soft, elegant look. Coccineus produces vivid magenta-red flowers that are among the most intense colors available in any ground cover. Bottom line on Creeping Thyme: fragrant, beautiful, drought-tolerant, foot traffic tolerant, outstanding for stepping stone gaps in sunny, dry areas, spectacular spring flower display, and virtually maintenance-free. Creeping Thyme is a ground cover that delivers an extraordinary sensory and visual experience while asking almost nothing in return. It is the perfect ending to our list and a plant that every yard can benefit from having somewhere. And there you have it, 7 incredible fast-growing ground covers that will genuinely transform your yard from bare, weedy, and problematic to lush, beautiful, and thriving. Whether you choose the spectacular spring blooms of Creeping Phlox, the fast golden coverage of Creeping Jenny, the reliable shade-solving power of Vinca minor or Pachysandra, the dramatic foliage of Ajuga, the ecological magic of white clover, or the fragrant sensory delight of Creeping Thyme, each one of these plants is a genuine yard transformer. The real key to using ground covers effectively is matching the right plant to the right conditions. Full sun and dry soil? Creeping Thyme and Creeping Phlox are your answer. Deep shade under trees? Pachysandra and Vinca minor will solve that problem beautifully. Fast coverage of large areas? Creeping Jenny and white clover will do the job in a single season. Dramatic foliage and partial shade? Ajuga brings a color and texture that nothing else can match. Choose wisely, plant generously, and within 1 to 2 growing seasons, your yard will be transformed beyond recognition. The bare patches, the weeds, the erosion problems, the impossible shady spots, all of it, solved. That is the power of the right ground cover plants. Thank you so incredibly much for watching today. It means everything to us that you spend your time here with us, and we genuinely hope this video gives you the inspiration and the knowledge to go out and create something beautiful in your yard. If you got value from today's video, please give it a thumbs up right now. It helps us reach more gardeners, and it means the world to our channel. If you are not subscribed yet, please hit that subscribe button and tap the bell so you never miss a new upload. We have so much more great gardening content coming your way very soon. We will see you in the next one.